The Norman Conquest. 1066 How William the Conqueror changed England forever. The Norman Conquest of 1066 represents one of the most pivotal and transformative events in the entire history of England, fundamentally reshaping the political, social, cultural, and linguistic landscape of the country in ways that would echo through the centuries and continue to influence modern Britain. This momentous historical turning point began with the death of the childless Anglo-Saxon King Edward the Confessor in January 1066, which created a volatile succession crisis and power vacuum that would ultimately lead to the complete overthrow of centuries of Anglo-Saxon rule. Three formidable contenders immediately emerged to claim the English throne. Harold Godwin's son, the powerful Earl of Wessex who was swiftly crowned king by the Anglo-Saxon nobility. William, Duke of Normandy, a distant cousin of Edward who claimed the late king had promised him the succession during a previous visit. And Harald Hardrada, the fearsome Viking king of Norway who asserted his own hereditary right to rule England based on earlier agreements between Scandinavian and Anglo-Saxon rulers. The dramatic events that followed unfolded with an almost cinematic intensity and rapidity that still captures the imagination today. In September 1066, Hardrada launched a massive invasion of northern England with a formidable Viking fleet, joined by Harold Godwinson's own estranged brother Tostig. King Harold's Anglo-Saxon forces achieved a stunning victory against the Vikings at the Battle of Stamford Bridge on September 25th, where both Hardrada and Tostig met their deaths in one of the bloodiest battles in English history. However, this hard-won triumph proved tragically short-lived, for just 3 days later, William of Normandy landed his invasion force of thousands of knights, archers and infantry at Pevensey in southern England, forcing Harold's exhausted and depleted army to immediately march nearly 250 miles southward to face this new, even more dangerous threat. The fate of England was decided on October 14th, 1066 at the legendary Battle of Hastings, where William's professional Norman army of heavily armored cavalry and skilled archers clashed with Harold's Anglo-Saxon forces in an epic day-long struggle. The battle saw the Anglo-Saxons initially hold strong with their formidable shield wall defense on Senlac Hill, but ultimately fell to William's tactical brilliance when he feigned retreats to break the Saxon formations, culminating in Harold's death, traditionally said to be from an arrow to the eye as depicted in the famous Bayeux Tapestry, and the complete collapse of Anglo-Saxon resistance. William's coronation as king on Christmas Day 1066 in Westminster Abbey, conducted in both English and French amid armed Norman guards, marked the symbolic beginning of a new era, though his hold on power remained precarious for years as Anglo-Saxon rebellions erupted across the country. To consolidate his hard-won conquest, William implemented a series of radical and often brutal measures that would permanently transform England. The new Norman king constructed an extensive network of over 500 motte and bailey castles across the country, including what would become the Tower of London, establishing permanent military strongholds to control the native population. He systematically replaced the entire Anglo-Saxon aristocracy with Norman and French nobles, redistributing nearly all English lands to his followers in what amounted to the largest property seizure in the nation's history. The feudal system was rigorously imposed, creating a strict hierarchy with William at its apex, followed by his barons, knights, and finally the subjugated Anglo-Saxon peasantry, who found themselves reduced to serfdom. Most devastatingly, William's harrying of the North, 1069-70, saw the complete devastation of northern England in response to rebellion, with entire villages burned, crops destroyed, livestock slaughtered, and countless civilians killed or starved. A scorched earth campaign so thorough that some areas remained depopulated wastelands for generations. Among William's most significant and enduring administrative achievements was the commissioning of the Domesday Book in 1086, an unprecedented and remarkably detailed survey of all English landholdings, resources, and population that served both as a comprehensive tax assessment and a powerful symbol of Norman domination. The conquest also brought profound cultural and linguistic changes, as the fusion of Old English with Norman French over time would give birth to Middle English, enriching the language with thousands of French-derived words, while creating the complex linguistic heritage that characterizes modern English. Architecturally, The Normans introduced the massive Romanesque style seen in magnificent new cathedrals like Durham and castles that still dominate England's landscape today. When William died in 1087 from injuries sustained during a campaign in France, he left behind a fundamentally transformed England, one more closely integrated with continental Europe, with a stronger centralized monarchy, more sophisticated administrative systems, and new legal and social structures that would shape the nation's development for centuries to come. The Norman Conquest's legacy remains deeply embedded in modern Britain, evident in everything from the English language's dual vocabulary to the nation's legal traditions, architectural heritage, and even aspects of class structure. More than just a change of rulers, 1066 marked nothing less than the birth of a new England, making it perhaps the single most consequential year in the nation's long history, whose impacts continue to resonate nearly a millennium later. The story of the Norman Conquest remains one of history's most dramatic tales of ambition, warfare, cultural collision, and transformation, a pivotal moment when England was forcibly remade and set upon a new course that would ultimately help shape the modern world.